enough.
Okay.
That's what I tell people. Now, for people like that are Christians, they tell you in the Bible that the gift of God is without repentance. So if a man is smart, the man is smart. Whether he's legally smart or illegally smart, he is a smart person. He just chooses maybe from situation to be illegally smart. So he's against the law.
Okay.
But if maybe he was legally smart, he would have been with the law. You understand what I'm saying? So the point is that, first of all, you don't just greet people to chase people from Azigboro Park because they roam around the place without first addressing the reason why they roam around Azigboro Park.
Okay.
You understand me?
Okay.
These boys are smart. They may be illiterate, they may not be, but they are smart. They have a way of even making petroleum products, refining crude oil to become petrol. Now that means that they are smart already. You know, these things you call illegal. A law can come up tomorrow and it becomes legal. You understand me?
Yeah, okay.
So these boys are smart already. The only complaint we have now is that because of the limited opportunity and recognition for their smartness, they are smart and they have to be smart. So the smartness is channeled into areas that are seen as illegal. So you begin to call their activities illegal oil refining. But we should consider the fact that they were smart enough to even know how to refine locally.
Yeah.
That's one.
Okay.
Now, moving, how does this affect the NSCDC? I think you can't fight people working for free. You cannot win a battle when you are paid and you are fighting people that are working for free, especially for what they believe in.
Okay.
And that's why I'm agitating that if we must have proper security in Nigeria, religious leaders should be given certain privileges that should be recognized by law to be involved in security issues.
Okay.
Because let's give an example. If a pastor say, everybody, government say, don't come out, we're having sanitation from 7 to 10. A pastor can tell his members, the Lord said to me that we should gather here by 8. And I tell you the truth, they will defy government.
And gather here.
Fine, which means these people actually have influence that have resulted to power.
Okay.
You understand me?
Yes, yeah.
Now, I think one of the things that NSCDC should do is not just to guide pipeline. That's why they've not recorded proper success.
Yeah, okay.
One of the things they should do is to gather intelligence and give recommendations to government of how best, you understand me, this can be reduced.
Okay.
You understand me? Fine. Even, for example, the police, one of the jobs the police do, if they notice there's going to be crisis, they identify through intelligence people that they think will spearhead this crisis and have private meetings with them,
Yeah.
to see how to calm them down. So when they've calmed them down, the next thing you see, the protest may still go, but it will be peaceful.
Yeah.
Just like June 12th, Rivers State had it differently. Why? They did an underground job. So if the NSCDC can just forget about backing a lot, and now look at how to also gather intelligence,
Okay.
get recommendations for the federal government, you understand me?
Okay.
That's areas they can function and how these people can work with them and how this can be utilized properly. It will reduce their excess effort that we are not seeing much result with.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
I think that's what I think they can do to help, because you can't kill all these boys.
Okay.
And funny enough, they have arms. They've sold crude oil, they have arms. So they can face you squarely.
Okay.
And they have bigger money in their bank. In fact, they have it in cash. And you aim at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So when you reason your life and what you aim, and when you retire, what's going on with you, the boy has your retirement in his pocket already. You understand me? So
Yeah.
he's more motivated than you. In fact, if you are corrupt, he will go hard to you to return. So these are some of the challenges you see. You understand me? We have. Until they work on that, I think they will still be having that challenge.
Okay. Okay. Remember, viewers, that you can start sending in your comments, questions, and suggestions. We have some already, but I want us to talk about this issue of manholes. The issue of manholes.
Yes.
In River State. You know, while coming here this morning, driving through Elekahia Road, I noticed that almost all the manholes there are open. And during raining season, when it rains, we have heard incidents of people, children falling into those manholes, you know, or people falling into those manholes and later discovered dead somewhere, you know, far away. What do you think can be done who are the people responsible for removing these things, and what can be done?
Well, it takes some measure of intelligence.
Okay.
Just like he mentioned.
Intelligence gathering, yes.
It takes some measure of intelligence, even for those that are perpetrating this act.
Okay.
It takes some measure of intelligence, which we can actually harness and bring in if we actually know the people that are doing this. We have had this kind of activities attributed to scavengers, those that are scavenging for metals.
Okay.
These days, you come out, you see quite a number of lorries carrying metals from one point to the other. You know, these are business people. These are commercial people. You don't know where they're getting their metals from. Unlike before, now everywhere you see scavengers. They go about the streets. They go about major roads. For ringing the bell. For streets, you see them with carts, pushing carts and asking for people to bring their metals. So some people have attributed the removal of these manholes on the streets and on the roads to some of these persons. They have attributed it to some of these scavengers. But I think taking it from the public angle again, the communities have a role to play.
Yeah.
For instance, that particular area that you are talking about, if you go through Elekaya, most of the manholes have been removed.
Yes.
Even very recently here, at the next junction, at the First Bank junction, very close to us here, on Aba Road, you know, there was a major manhole that was removed at the center of the road. And because that manhole was removed, that road, a newly constructed road by the state government, reconstructed road by the state government, that road had to cave in. So we need to actually up our security intelligence. And we can't do it alone. We have to involve the community. So many things happen. The problem is that people just create an impression, or they have this habit of thinking that government property is not theirs.
Yeah.
But when these things are removed, everybody suffers for it. For instance, you can imagine heavy rainfall, and students, particularly pupils, are coming back from school.
Okay.
Some of them are endangered by such manhole. In fact, we have even seen in areas like Lagos State where manholes have become places from where kidnappers and ritualists operate from. In fact, some of these manholes, they are deep and running across several meters. And from one point, they pick people and straight through those manholes. So we need to protect these manholes. There has to be, if there's a construction company that is doing any work, that construction company must have a way of sealing these manholes, thereby making it impossible. Then the other one is for community members to also own up. Look at these manholes as part of, in fact, any infrastructure in the community as part of their own. Because after all, it is all of us as citizens that constitute the government. So that is my take for now.
Okay, so what's your take, sir?
Well, I have like two takes.
Okay.
For what you said, both the construction company, the government, and of course, NOA.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, in the angle of the government with regards to what's going on with the manhole, I believe the role of government is the protection of our lives and property.
Okay.
Understand me? It's the government's job to ensure that their citizens are protected internally and externally. Now, when you talk about our government, you talk about interest. I believe our government focuses on whatever they are interested in. That's what it focuses on. And I still believe that, irrespective of the fact that people have died from this manhole, I still believe the government have not seen it as a priority or as an issue that should be focused on. Now, when I mean focus, I don't even mean government taking up time to focus and begin to talk about it. See, there is a reason they have agencies of government, they have commissioners in the state level, and then in the federal, they have ministries. These ministers are representatives of the president, these commissioners are representatives of the government. So under which ministry does that fall in? And if that falls under a ministry, the governor or the president will not tell them that they are not aware of what's going on. Who has been sanctioned that is not doing his job? For others to learn.
Okay.
That is one. That's on the government angle. They don't have to take it as a priority. But if they are really interested in the life, and this has taken a life, and I'm sure the governor received briefings, and I know he's aware. So these are things that they should have sanctioned the ministry in charge of this for lack of supervision.
Okay.
That's on the government angle.
Okay.
You understand me? Now, when they do that, they will make that ministry to sit up. That is one. Then, when that ministry sits up, that ministry will now begin to bring reports of how the contractors are not making that manhole proper enough and protected enough.
Okay.
And then other agencies of government can now begin to look into the contracts and why it's not working. But I also believe that the manholes were made to be removable. They were not made to be cemented there. They were made to be removable. They were actually supposed to be emergency routes. You understand me? For situations, for rescue and some other things. That is why they are so deep that you can walk in and you can use. But still, because of lack of supervision, you understand me? You find out that even our gutters around there and all those things, they are not properly linked. But when government gives this contract, it's supposed to be properly linked. But along the road, it's not properly linked. It's the lack of supervision.
Yeah.
So who is to be blamed? Now, government should fish out these people and let us say discipline. You understand? That's one.
Okay.
Then with regards to the community now,
Okay.
you see, the average Nigerian man, due to the way he has been treated by the government, where he lacks a lot of basic amenities. In Nigeria, I think it's a personal development we look onto.
Yeah.
You want to know if our roads are good, buy a Jeep, you just know the road is good. When you want to know if we have light, have your gen.
Yeah.
Now we have so many options. We have solar, we have gen, we have battery, backup powers.
Yeah.
These are things that ordinarily the government should have provided. I wouldn't have to overlook for all these things. Now, water in those days, we used to have a borehole in Yenegua where I grew up. There used to be everybody connect from the road, and then you had a tap. But not every house has a borehole, so they provide their water.
Okay.
So nobody cares about that infrastructure that provides water because it doesn't actually provide water for anybody anymore.
Yeah.
Now, that I don't care because of the lack of these basic amenities for the public. The public have seen that they have indirectly, their interest is indirectly excluded from the government interest.
Okay.
Now, how do you know if your husband has your interest? He provides for the family.
Okay.
He takes care of the kids.
Yeah.
He cares about them. He's not feeling fine. Why? So you know he has interest. So if this kid is misbehaving, you call, say, honey, Junior has started that thing that you told him not to do. You understand me?
Yeah.
Now, Junior in this case is the vandals.
Okay.
The wife
Okay.
is the community, the citizens.
Okay.
Government is the husband. But because that husband has not cared enough, you understand me? So the wife now goes out to work to earn her own living.
Yeah.
And because when she comes back, she's tired and she wants to focus on getting her energy for the next day's work. There are things Junior will do. She'll just, if the father knows what we give us. That is exactly
What is happening.
So when the citizens see this vandal that they have elected, they find them begging. Yeah, God no go allow me enter that and you understand me?
Yeah.
Why are they doing that? They are not doing it intentionally. It's a transferred aggression of the government that they are allowing to outplay.
Okay.
Now, the only thing the citizens don't know that I hope this program helped them to see with regards to this manhole is that the government does not fall into manholes.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that the commissioners don't fall into manholes because they have escorts. They are well protected.
Yeah.
They are on cars, and their children may not even be here. So when you neglect, when Junior's mom neglects Junior because she's so tired, if Junior becomes an armed robber, it's the mother that they will call her.
Yeah.
When Junior misbehaves, so that the mother like it or not to fall back. So even if we keep neglecting these things, I want you to know that the danger is to us
Yeah.
and not to the persons that are currently occupying government offices.
Okay.
And so, no matter how bad we feel, having explained why I think we feel these grievances, I would like to advise that we should now start taking responsibility. You understand?
Yeah.
We should start being Christian. So if you are, even if someone does bad to you, we should just pay them back with good. Even if we feel the government has not been doing well, we shouldn't allow their bad make us bad. We should begin to think of how we can be the bigger men here now. So we should start protecting the little around ourselves.
Okay.
Understand me? So if we see these things, the Constitution gives us right for what they call citizens' arrest.
Yeah.
So when you see these situations, you can carry out citizens' arrest. You understand me? You can carry out citizens' arrest. You can take them to the station. But even when you take them to the station, you don't believe they will get justice. You believe if they have enough funds to produce, they can still go.
We can still go free.
But take them to the station first.
Okay.
Let them know that you have interest in protecting that.
Yeah.
You understand me? Just do it first, even if it doesn't work. Do it first.
Do it, yeah.
Take that step first. You're not doing it for the government. You're doing it because your neighbor's child might fall into it.
Yeah.
And when they are bereaved, you have to sympathize with them too.
Yeah.
And it's not right. You understand? You are doing it because someone coming to look for you who has no proper knowledge of your environment might be a victim. So indirectly, you are helping yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm asking members of the public, having explained their grievances, to forget about their grievances and now think of how they can be better.
Yeah, yeah.
2 years ago, I said on radio here in Rivers State that there's going to be a police protest nationally. And that this protest is actually going to help the police. So last year when they were protests of NSAS, I was invited to explain what I said 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I told them that I am a bridge between the police and the public.
Okay.
I know why the police behave the way they do. I can give you reasons why they behave the way they do.
Okay.
And I know why the public feel the way they feel about the
And the
police.
police, okay.
And I can give you reasons. I am the bridge, I do not judge people.
Okay.
But I foresaw this because I knew that it would get to a point the public will not take it. And when it gets to that point, the public will react. But that when they start reacting, their reaction will help the police.
Yeah.
And it's true, when the NSAS protest started, when people started reacting,
Yeah.
with time they realized that police barracks were rubbish. Why reacting?
Yeah.
They started digging facts, thinking they were going to undo the police. While digging up facts, they realized that the police needs more help than they do actually. So the protest changed from NSAS to bad government.
Bad governments, yeah.
So
Okay.
the police now were on the helping side. I don't know if you get me.
Yeah, yes,
Now
yes.
that is what I projected. I knew that was going to happen because I've been relating with the people. You understand me?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing we're talking about the manhole.
Yeah.
It's the same thing we're saying. So, but in all, to cap up all I've said, I think the National Orientation Agency needs to be given attention. I think, I don't know the ministry attached to, but it should be under information.
Yeah.
But I think they should be removed from Ministry of Information. The National Orientation Agency should be removed from Ministry of Information
Okay.
and then attached directly to the presidency.
Okay.
Just like the DSS, you understand me?
Okay.
Now, because the kind of job they do is not a job that the minister of that ministry can manage.
Okay.
The kind of role of national orientation is supposed to be the role that is related directly to the presidency.
Okay.
Why is it so? The National Orientation Agency, do you understand me, is supposed to be the bridge between the government and the people.
That's what we are.
That's what you are in name. Do you understand me? Now, you will not be giving proper attention in the Ministry of Information from funding to every other thing.
Okay.
Because the primary concern of the Ministry of Information is giving that information and not educating. There's difference from giving that information and educating people. Your job under information is educating.
Educating, yes.
So if government has a policy, there should be funding for this agency to go out and carry out a community sensitization on why a flyover is going to be built now in Adajor, in as much as people are complaining on traffic.
Okay.
This agency should have been told by government to liaise with the communities and people and give them reasons why
Yeah.
they are flagging up that flyover.
Right.
For example, if I'm to give a reason why all these projects are going on, I can defend the government comfortably.
Okay.
And people will say reasons with me. What will I tell them? For security reasons.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just tell them, look, because of the heavy traffic, it's on purpose. We are flagging up all these projects on purpose so that there will be heavy traffic. Because of the attack on policemen, we notice that these people find it very easy to maneuver and move around. So we said to flag off all these purpose to limit people's movement so that if there are crimes, the police can catch up with them easily.
Easy.
And it will distract criminals. And if you watch very well, because of this project, you have witnessed low rate of kidnap within the towns because of the movement.
That's
They
true.
can't maneuver. I can defend them. This is your job. Now, but because that foresight is not thought about, your agency is neglected. But your agency is actually the only agency that can stand between anybody wanting to have their own independence and whatever,
Okay.
and interface on behalf of government, directly and indirectly,
Yeah.
and then report back to government on measures and recommendations that should be used. In that format, now, when the Minister of Information come out to give out his information, they would have considered whatever you have given to them, and their information will be falling in line. And we'll just have peace where they were supposed to be war.
Yeah.
So I think your ministry should be attached to the presidency so that they can properly be funded. Yes. Okay, for example, look at your initiative here now.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to say, in as much as this is under NOA, I'm sure it's a personal initiative. I'm sure people are putting in their best. I know how much data this takes
Okay.
to make sure this happens. You understand me? Funding.
Mm.
Now, when we talk of funding, government must not bring the money. There are government can create measures for your funding
Okay.
to achieve these goals.
Mm.
Network companies can be mandated to fund streamings on all NOS state charters.
Yeah.
That is if the people are ready. You understand me? So government just needs to equip the NOA properly to be able to help them achieve the goal of government.
Thank you, Ambassador Bosinde. You know, State Director, sir. You have heard Ambassador Bosinde. You know, I think basically we need a positive change of attitude.
Yeah.
You know, positive change of attitude in this aspect. What do you have to say?
Not
And that's what NOA has been doing.
Yeah.
That's our aim, to change people's attitude.
you know, there are very dangerous dimensions,
Okay.
particularly on the part of citizens.
Okay.
There is this entitlement mentality,
Mm.
looking at it the other way around.
Okay.
Like what you mentioned,
Mm.
people are becoming very, not hostile in any way. Let me say, losing confidence
Mm.
on government.
Okay.
I'm saying government in its generic nature. In fact, you have had the concept of failed states
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
And that is where government is not able to provide infrastructure.
Mm.
But I must say that it might be different. You know, it's not a blanket thing.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, when he spoke, he talked about the issue of infrastructure. And actually, government here, take Rivers State for an example, they are doing their best to put in place relevant infrastructure.
Yes.
Because every government has its own area of focus.
Mm-hmm.
For the focus of this present administration here in Rivers State, the focus is on infrastructure. At the national level, it might not be infrastructure per se, but you also see semblance of it replicated in some specific ministries, like what we are seeing now in the issue of rail, even though it is yet to come to this part of the country. So, but there is this entitlement mentality, which, in fact, is even strengthened by the fact that most people think that government is not doing one thing or the other for them. So you find a citizen, for instance, using the issue of illegal refining, until there's a law covering it, we still see it as illegal refining, because the man who is doing it is not paying tax to anybody.
Yeah.
But looking at it the other way around, we also know that the government has also promised, the federal government, that they are going to harness these persons, those who are doing this illegal refinery, get them together, put them into cooperatives as owners of artisanal refineries, whereby government will give them some quota of crude to refine, and it will be very, very clear the volume of crude that they will refine, and then pay tax, the necessary tax to government, so that this issue of suits and the associated health hazards will be a thing of the past. So what I'm saying is that these days, he talked about behavior. You find people who believe that what they are doing, because of the kind of relationship they have had with those in government, they feel that what they are doing is even right. You find somebody who is into the sale of illegal refined products, and then the person is even justifying it instead of what about those that are in government? What about the ones that they are stealing? So, in other words, you know that you are also stealing, but you are justifying it with people that are in government. So these are issues that have to come from behavior that we need to tackle, even for those who are doing artisanal refining. While you are talking to them, they are not only referring to those in government, they are even talking about how that particular government should immediately, there should be a change, if it is possible, for them to have their way. But government does not run like that. Society cannot run like that. We can't continue to put wrong on nothing, or continue to put a thing on what has no foundation. So we need to look at ourselves. You know, this entitlement mentality, that this thing is my own. What about those people up there? What are they doing? That what has happened to them? We are talking about justice. Have we brought them to justice? Before you talk about the ones that are, because people are beginning, in fact, people are somehow fed up looking at the non-provision of some of these social amenities for them. Like he mentioned, individuals provide virtually everything now for themselves in many places. But like I mentioned, there are some areas where you can give government a pass mark. For instance, infrastructure now, you're having a pass mark, and by the state government. So the onus now is pushed to us because we must own this, because this ones, whether you like it or not, even if it comes as allocation, financial allocation from the federal government, which we are doing them. Don't also forget that there are so many people that are paying tax, private individuals that are paying tax, including people that are working in government that are paying tax. I pay huge tax every month. We pay huge tax, and so we have a right to protect this infrastructure. So it is important that we look at some of these things.
Okay, we have a lot of comments and questions coming in, so we'll just take a few of them. I have from Tams Orubo. He said NSCDC should go back to the drawing board and strategize on how best to carry out their jobs. They should be more proactive. Thank you, Mr. Tams Orubo. I have from Bridget Idemio. He says citizens should realize that destroying the little we have as a developing nation will increase the level of poverty. Will increase the level of poverty in our nation. I also have from Kenji Khan Grace. Thank you for streaming live with us. She says citizens should change their attitude towards vandalization of government assets. It belongs to all of us. Looking at this, for example, artillery, the flyover there. If you go across it, you find out that has become a home for mad people, mentally challenged people, and different types of things. People have now, instead rather than protecting it, you find that they have started vandalizing it, and nothing has been done about it. Okay, let me take more. I have from Senibo Abie. He says the truth is that while not holding brief for those who vandalize infrastructure, a poor and hungry man's response reasonably is suspended to a large extent. So at the root of it is poverty and education. You mentioned something like that, like that. I have also from Bibiba Princefield. She said protection of government assets is the responsibility of citizens. I have from Des Mayors. NOA should work with more with online media. Work more with online media, for publication. Thank you. From Peter Ikabie, he says, from Kana local government, we have somebody streaming from Kana local government area. He says the potency of threats of terrorism, militancy, oil theft, vandalism, and sabotage of critical national assets and infrastructure has now become unprecedented. Hence, community leaders should see it as a sine qua non to safeguard it. I think Ambassador Bosinde has said something like that, going beyond even our community leaders protecting these assets. Individuals need to step up to protect our assets. I have from Margaret Banigo. She says protecting government assets is everyone's responsibility. So take, for instance, the abandoned monorail projects. I'm going to ask you about that. I want you to comment on that. The abandoned monorail project. Most of the facilities are being vandalized. As part of nation building, individuals and groups need to show concern about government assets and property. I want to push that to you, Ambassador Boston.
What is that like?
The monorail project is being vandalized.
Monorail project. Okay, please define the word project in this context. Is it an ongoing project or is it
abandoned?
It's an abandoned.
For now.
So what's the meaning of
or suspended for now?
Okay, I can't be commenting on a suspended project.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because at the moment it has no, it does not consign a major interest of the public, so I cannot be commenting on a suspended project like you said.
Okay. So I'm not bothered about the fact that it's being vandalized.
Bothered about? I don't even know it's been vandalized. That, like you said now, the government now.
Okay.
According to what your boss said now, they said it's a suspended
project. Yeah.
You understand me? Now, when something is suspended, you put mechanism in place to make sure it is suspended now. And it is in your interest to protect that thing. You put mechanisms in place to protect it.
Okay.
Do you understand me?
Okay.
So I will not be commenting on that because it does not have a direct implication to members of the public now. There is not like maybe while it was ongoing, it was doing one thing or the other for us. Or now that it's suspended, it's causing one damage or not. It's just by one corner of the road. So let it just be there. Let's focus on things that are necessary now.
Okay. Okay, I have from Ellis Iriadapa. He says, how can the collaboration between law enforcement agencies and the illegal oil bunkers be checked? Because it's a fact that the business of coal fire is greatly supported by law enforcement agencies, the police and civil defense.
That's the stake.
Yeah.
It's like saying bail is free. I have a campaign I still run. It's called Bail is Free Indeed campaign.
Okay.
And between me and you, I know bail is free.
Okay.
So I started by educating people about bail. And I told them that bail is not a major job of the police. Bail is not even a job of the police, but people don't know. Bail belongs to the criminal justice system. Bail is a product of the criminal justice system, not the police. But agencies of government that have powers, not only police, to detain people, while investigation is ongoing. You understand me?
Okay.
Those agencies, on their discretion, to avoid too much or long detention, grant bail using their discretions. And this bail is actually free too. And it is also written on the paper that it is free. And now, government and the law does not work on conscience. Government and the law don't care about your conscience and moral value. What government and the law cares about is evidence. And the people that are involved are careful enough to ensure that people are not able to have evidence towards payment for bail.
Yeah. Okay.
And because they are careful enough, you can convict them. So it's believed that bail is free. Now, until you, Nigeria, get educated enough and start following due processes, then you know bail is free. In those days, when you bring a lawyer to the station, he's a barrister, he should understand. The police people will even want to calm down and discuss. But these days, when you bring a lawyer, they don't even care. There's no problem. You're not going to negotiate. Why? It has gotten to that level. So the point I'm making is the people have a huge role to play. It takes two to tango. You understand me? People don't consider that they give this money to the police. They only consider the police takes this money. That's not concern.
Okay.
Now, they say, I'm not going to make a delay unnecessary when I rush for appointment. I've studied the US. They did come, they are almost 300 years old. There was a time like this there.
Okay.
People missed appointments to fight it. Today you hear the names of Martin Luther King Jr., you hear about Malcolm X. These men missed appointments and life to fight these things. They didn't even have to carry guns, but they stood their ground.
Okay.
You understand me? So Nigerians don't like standing their grounds. And that is because Nigerians are not patient people. How much more when it is illegal?
Okay.
How much more when it is illegal? Even the one that is legal, that you know you're on your rights, you don't want to stand your ground because you don't want to pass through certain sacrifices that may be painful to you. But that's what we talk of nation building, sacrifices. You don't just get independent. Sometimes blood, So Nigerians are not willing people to fight, but they are willing to talk. But they are not willing to walk their talk. You understand me? That's why they have a challenge. So when they are legal, they can't do it. How much more when they are illegal? You understand me? That's one. Then the security agency you're complaining about taking sides with these people. I must be sincere that our security agencies need to be highly checked. They need to be put in check. But who's going to put them in check? They control arm.
Exactly.
So who wants to control people that control arm?
Okay.
I don't know if you understand me. They should be put in check, but who's going to put them in check? Now, the man we are asking to be put in check, you want him to do his job well. Have you considered his life? See, if you want to stop all these things in police, it's very simple. Have a very good retirement plan for them.
Okay.
That is visible. That is visible and active and is real.
Okay.
A policeman will not misbehave for 1 million naira now and risk losing his job.
Okay.
That will give him a life after the job. He will be a bit disciplined.
Okay.
I don't, you control his greed at that level.
At that
So
level.
when you're asking for the police to be checked, let us come and check them together.
Okay. let me take something from Eleite Lohari. I know our time is running up. It says the recent trend of stealing of rail lines can be curbed through dialogue with scrap iron agents and iron melting companies who are the end buyers. They should be threatened with sanctions if such vandalization. They should be threatened with sanctions if there's such vandalization of public assets. What's your take on that?
Well, let me go to first the issue of the underlying reason most people give for doing some of these things. I've had some of the comments. People are talking about poverty, that unless you provide employment, yes, these things are necessary. We are discussing the issue of protecting critical infrastructure. You know, nobody today, you can see the number of people that are being churned out from the universities, people going to youth service, and we all know, between me and you and everybody, that government cannot provide jobs for everybody. So, for me, when people begin to adjust poverty every day, unemployment is like a broken record. What do we do as citizens? Because that is why you have this infrastructure. Part of the reason for putting some of this infrastructure together, road, electricity, call it rail, and so on, is to make sure that people have access. People are protected. Security agents can move freely to police the environment, to police the roads. So these things are there. But more to it, we should begin to change the mindset of the fact that it is poverty. Of course, there are many people that are poor, that are not also into these areas of crime. And more to it is the fact that we should also begin to change the narrative. Of course, government can provide all the jobs. While they can do for maybe for a limited population, we also know that we have to look at our education. What does our education provide us? Even now, as we speak, there are a lot of programs that government have brought out for people to key into under the National Security Investment Program. A lot of programs are there. We are not saying that these programs are perfect, but even at that, people don't want to take the pains of engaging some of these programs. People are not taking the pains to engage access to some of these programs and see to it that these programs better their lives. For them, it is so much of a waste of time. For them, even before they try to access those programs, they have the mindset that government knows already whom to employ, or whom to engage. So I think we should begin to change our mindsets, begin to look at skills acquisition and related things that can provide employment and food for the people. And no matter what, we cannot turn what is wrong to be right for whatever reason, for whatever wrong reason, that it is because of poverty. Poverty is not limited to one person. In fact, by the time you begin to tamper with these infrastructures, money that government would have used to provide more infrastructure, to consolidate on what they have provided for you at any point in time, they will go back and use such monies, such resources to make sure that they either repair or reconstruct. So you are deepening your poverty by engaging in such pipeline vandalization, or not just pipeline vandalization, roads, even some of the roads that have been constructed, you will see that some of them are giving way. I can give you an example. If you go to the new road area, the Morocco houses, in fact, most of these waterfronts, the roads that even Beja has built at some of these points, you see them giving way because of the activities of some of these vandals. Because that is the access routes for some of these products to come in. And nobody is checking them. Like somebody said, even security agencies are in league with those that are doing these things. And it's a very dangerous thing for you to even begin to talk to somebody who has arms in his hands. Security agents have arms. These vandals also have arms. So who can control who? Nobody. So we need to look at these things.
So let me take one last comment from John Jojo. He says, please, NOA is doing well as an agency, but more efforts should be fostered towards job creation and employment as to engage those youths who engage on these miscreant activities. More emphasis and awareness programs on job creation and local content policy on engagement and social corporate responsibilities. We have the solution within us. Let's all do our best in achieving our targets of employment. I think the state director has also talked, in line with that. So I want to ask you, Ambassador Bosinde, what's your last word for the people?
Well, it's not really the last word. I'm going to live for 120 years. So it's not the last word.
Okay. So on this program,
yes, we are careful about words and what we accept.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I don't know if I will be allowed to make a little input to what he said.
Okay.
I have never seen poverty as the reason for anything. Okay. Why I say so is because my father did not train me. I'm from Bayelsa Saudi, so I grew up in Lagos. At the age of 7, I was driving to Saint-Quentin in 11. I dropped out from school. I didn't even have free education until I could not trek from Unabalu to town anymore.
Okay.
So I dropped out in SS2. It took me 4 years to save money by myself for YA, 26,000.
Okay.
2002, 2006. You understand me? Now, I went through all these things and I have never stolen anybody's property and I will never. Naturally, I just don't drink or smoke. It's a natural thing. I'm not saying it's bad if I'm going to do it. But what I'm saying is, people that have tendency to steal have tendency to steal. They should not blame it on poverty.
Okay.
You understand me? They should not blame it on poverty. Poverty is not the reason why people are vandalizing our area. You understand me? I've created jobs, I have staffs. No government told me what to do. I've created jobs. In fact, I even entered into government agencies to the point they see me as solution. Nobody taught me what I do, no training. I created them. I could as well use this same ability I have to perpetrate crime.
Okay.
And I will still succeed. But I choose to do it this way. So there is nobody should come and blame poverty. In fact, the reason why poverty is there is so that you can overcome it.
Okay.
Do you understand me?
Okay.
Fine. That's on that angle. Then on the angle, I heard someone talked about sanctioning people who are doing legitimate business for failure of people that cannot protect infrastructure. That is wrong. You can't sanction people who are selling the end buyers of those. You can't sanction them. You understand me? You can only bring more policies that will tighten and stiffen their operations to be able to streamline those that are stolen. For example, you can bring things like permits. If you want to buy this thing, you should have a permit from the person when he got it that is traceable. So in case it is stopped, security agents can be given rights to carry out a trace of this product. And if you are caught, XYZ will come on you. Government can bring in such measures. But with regards to, you see that thing, even railway, they do it.
Yeah, they
you see them putting up the railways as if the president used rail. You understand? So all these things, it is their lifestyle. Check that man that is doing that. I'm giving you an example. Before he started stealing these things on the road and all of that. Check where he has stolen meat in the port. It's not his first time. Stealing those things can't be your first time in stealing. You understand me? He has stolen meat. You understand me? Someone has placed food before. He went there and collected some. Not all, some.
And arranged it.
Yes, and ate his own. So when he see government place them here, he still go and collect some. He doesn't start today, so don't blame that on poverty. You understand me? You understand me? So people should stop having so much excuses for not meeting up to expectations. That's what I believe. You understand me? Now, these people include government. They should also stop having too much excuses for not meeting up to the citizens' expectation. But to capital in an NOA style, you understand me? I say so. With regards to what you want me to say here, I think I gave an illustration on Monday on radio when they asked me, how can we get the best policing in Nigeria? And let me repeat what I said. I told them that the best way and the only way we can have the best policing in Nigeria is not what we are saying now. It will take us years. Now, why it will take us years is because we need to have a husband and wife who will have children and will teach them to be truthful. And will teach them not to take bribe. And when these children go and write JAMB and WAEC, if they fail, they should make them rewrite instead of paying huge money for them to get admission into schools. You understand me? And then we should have lecturers who will refuse sorting. and make these children work so hard for whatever score they will get in school. And when this lecturer do this, you understand me? These children will now graduate from this hard work. You understand me? And then when they pass through a society and a medical system where a doctor will not tell you in a government hospital, neglect you and recommend you to his private hospital. When we have this system in place, you understand me?
Yeah.
Where these things, people know that there is a due process. It's not like people don't steal abroad. People steal everywhere in the world. Government people steal money everywhere in the world, even in the US. They do it. But the difference between stealing anyhow and stealing with due process. When they know that even the stealing you want to do will go through due process. You understand me? They will know that there need to be work.
Yeah.
So when we begin to put up a family like this, not a family where father tell the child, tell them I'm not an army if you come here. Now that child has lied. Now that child grows with that lie. And the father is the one that taught him that lie. So he grows with that lie. So we should take responsibility. We already have the kind of police we have now. It will take years to change. But those ones we have now, we should start making amends in our own little way.
Yeah.
If you're a church pastor, make amends with your people. Teach them right. If you're a father, teach your family well. If you're a village girl, teach them well.
Okay.
Teach them well. Teach them well. And if you are in government and you are privileged to be there, whether you are crookedly put or not, now that you are there, just do right.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador Bosinde. And what about you? We have just 1 minute.
I think it's very clear.
Yeah, okay.
That citizens, because the discussion today centers on citizens.
Yes, exactly.
They
Their
should
responsibility.
own the infrastructures, because that is one area where we are lacking.
Okay.
They are not only the providers, because whether I like it or not, you may have contributed one way or the other to having that infrastructure, but you are also the beneficiary. You are the provider, you are the beneficiary.
Okay.
So if it is not there, you are the one that suffers.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to thank my guests in the studio. Thank you, State Director. Thank you, Ambassador Bosinde. We would love to have you again on this program and maybe talk about your vision for the police. I want to thank all our viewers this morning for streaming live with us. We sincerely apologize. We had a little network issue at the beginning of the program, but you can still go to our YouTube, and search for NOA River State, and you'll be able to watch the program live. We want to thank you so much for streaming live with us. Like our guest in the studio has said, it is your responsibility to protect that infrastructure or asset that is in your community. We all need to be responsible. Thank you again for streaming live with us this morning. This is a program of the National Orientation Agency, River State, Nigeria.